So I'm not gonna lie, I might be recording this on Monday morning. As in last week's episode on Monday morning. There's been a lot going on this week in terms of politics, the budget, the Tory leadership race, and then there's the American election on Tuesday, so tomorrow. Combine that with a uni essay and a uni assignment due, it's a little bit touch and go whether this gets done because obviously I have to prioritise things. With that being said, I still wanted to get this episode out because I've written the script for it. So I'm Jake Whitwell, and in this show we explain some of the news that goes on in the week to try and make it more accessible to everyone that's listening, if anyone listens. So to start off with, I had some news carried over from what was last week, the week before last. And in that, Sky News reported the Labour Party has suspended an MP, Mike Amesbury, after video footage was shown of him punching a man in the street. So on that Sunday night / Monday morning, a Labour Party spokesperson said Mr Amesbury is cooperating with the police, assisting their inquiry following the incident. In that incident, he was shown punching a man who then fell to the floor before hitting him repeatedly while he was on the floor. 3 members of the public then intervened to stop him, and Amesbury was filmed pointing at the man, telling him he was the MP for the area and warned him not to threaten him as the MP ever again. He was suspended by the party after this, obviously, with Labour Cabinet Ministers telling the press that the police inquiry that's now ongoing should run its course and therefore not commenting any further. A Tory party spokesperson said Mr Amesbury has questions to answer over the issue. There was something in the article about him being provoked by a question, like a repeated teasing in question, and then that's what led to the altercation. So the Telegraph noted Labour has struck a deal to use AI for lesson plans and marking homework. The Department of Education has awarded Faculty AI, who have been getting a lot of government jobs recently, a £3 million contract to build a content store of curriculum info and anonymised assessment results. This data will be used to develop tools that teachers can then use, like AI bots for marking or creating lesson plans. A spokesperson for Faculty AI said it's working with the law firm to ensure proper safeguards around student data. And the Early Education Minister, Stephen Morgan, has said he hopes that the use of AI would help to ease pressures on teachers, like workload, and allow them to focus on face-to-face teaching. Right, so that's the news I carry over from the week before. Now, last week's news. The Tory leadership race concluded this week, and Labour's first budget was delivered this week. Now, I collected a lot of news in the run-up to both of those things happening, sort of speculating or reporting on what might happen. And so to ease that confusion, I've taken those out, I've omitted them, and hopefully I will go back to covering them now they've happened in articles and other episodes. Right, with that in mind, I'll get on to them. The Telegraph detailed Starmer's popularity has suffered its biggest fall for a new Prime Minister. Polling by More in Common, a group which conducts research and is a thought leader, strategy and communications consultancy, and an incubator that's self-attributed, showed that his personal rating has fallen to minus 38%, below Sunak's, who at worst had minus 30. The company's executive director, Luke Tyrrell, I think his name is, Tryl, called the collapse unprecedented, and he cited reasons like the decision to cut winter fuel payments and the early release of prisoners as possible reasons for it. Other scandals like the rows over freebies and cronyism were also touted as factors in the steady decline, and we'll wait and see where that goes from where it is. Sky News observed the Speaker launched a verbal trade against the Chancellor after elements of the budget were leaked. The Speaker, Sir Lindsay Hoyle, said the Chancellor's actions were totally unacceptable. So, what did she do? She conducted interviews in the media and held meetings with people outside of the House of Commons, where she talked about the changes she intended to announce at PMQs on Wednesday in her budget. The Speaker called this premature disclosure. Now, he said, as members are elected, she has a duty to present changes to the House first, and this is due to the Commons having to fulfil its representative duty to the constituents. Well, why not? Why would she not wait till Wednesday at PMQs? Because government budgets recently have had quite an effect on day-to-day lives, and there's been a lot of turmoil and uncertainty that's come out of budgets. So by conducting media interviews and conducting interviews with people in industries, she's likely to soften the blow and soften like the immediate fallout of a budget, making it more like manageable and more palatable to people, especially when there's going to be tax rises like there was. The Eye detailed Parliament has launched an inquiry into the delays of compensation to the post office scandal. So a newly formed Business and Trade Select Committee will call ministers, sub-postmasters and lawyers to give evidence next week, beginning the 4th of November, so beginning today. The committee's chair, Liam Bryan, has acknowledged, I think his name's Brian, has acknowledged the delay in compensation, said he wants to hear about what could be done to speed it up from ministers and from anyone else. Following the story, at the start of the episode, The Guardian noted that Mike Amesbury was facing calls to resign from his position as MP, not PM. This came as more details emerged about the altercation, which was seemingly started over the temporary closure of a bridge, like I said before. People know Amesbury within politics have commented on how out of character that was for him. The same people then said they urged him to resign as it was the right thing to do. The Eye noted Reeves has scrapped reforms to child benefits. Reeves says she could not take forward the policy due to its significant fiscal cost of $1.4 billion. If they were introduced, the reforms would have changed how the income was measured, so it would have been household instead of just parental. And it would have stopped the penalisation of single parent situations or sole income families where they would have to pay more than those on lower wages but under the threshold because it's judging them individually and not on a household basis. The reform would have also resulted in closer cooperation between government departments to make economic support more targeted, to hopefully stop that like misclassification happening as often. And Martin Lewis, the popular money-saving expert, called the change a shame which left inequality rife and that it represented bad news for single earner or single parent families. The Standard noted the OBR, the budget watchdog, has addressed the claim of a £22 billion black hole in the economy. The OBR said that the last government did not provide them with all the available info last budget, and that as a result, they said they've uncovered a £9.5 billion hole in spending pressures that they were not made aware of. They said it would have been their projections would have been materially different, but they couldn't comment on a £22 billion black hole specifically. Now, the chairman of the OBR, Richard Hughes, said that he's not an astronomer and that they don't deal with black holes in the OBR, putting the facts out there and then not commenting on the claim from Labour. He said that nothing in their review was a legitimisation of the £22 billion black hole claim, and noted decisions made on public pay have made a significant impact on spending plans. So he can't tell how much the 22 billion is made up by Tory failures, but the decisions on public play had a significant thing to do with it. The Eye detailed experts have warned mortgage rates are likely to rise after the budget. They said that mortgage rates are likely to rise and could stay elevated until 2029. The OBR predicted a relatively small increase to the base rate for the next 5 years as a result of the budget, and this is a result of interest rates being 0.25% higher than what predictions would have been without the budget. That rise will come because of spending increasing more than taxes, then slightly higher inflation, which also pushes up interest rates. The Guardian also covered the budget, with Reeves being warned that she might have to raise more tax to avoid service cuts. Government borrowing rose sharply after the budget, and although this came amid a wider global loss, the pound also fell against the dollar to the lowest it has been for 2 months. Despite this, a meltdown remains unlikely, as there hasn't been that great of a fallout compared to other budgets, like Liz Truss's mini budget, for example. The Telegraph covered comments from Liz Truss, who warned her party against ruling out a deal with reform. She said that she was a supporter of Farage's and said that he can attract people the Conservatives currently can't. She said because of this, ruling out a deal with Farage would be crazy. Times noted a Labour union backer, Unite, has started a legal battle over the government's decision to cut winter fuel payments. Unite are alleging that Labour is acting unlawfully in cutting winter fuel payments in relation to the cut not being referred to a select committee, where it would have undergone further scrutiny and evidence would have been gathered about its impact. 4 News noted Kemi Badenoch has just beat Gemrick to lead the Conservative Party. She has vowed to bring people back to the Tories, saying that they must be honest about the mistakes they made previously, like at the 2024 general election in July. So this is a relatively short episode, just because I had a lot on for uni this week and I'm trying to manage about 4 different things coming out for News of the Week. I hope you found it useful still, and I'm sorry that it was so short. See you next week.